That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 59 with Mike and Alex, Mike Biseglia, Alex Manesiewicz. And episode 59, not the same smile on your face, Alex, although the Knicks have been playing just some tremendous basketball. 9-game winning streak comes to an end. The New York Knicks lose to the Phoenix Suns this evening, 118-110. Brooklyn Nets actually played the Suns the night before. Nets winners 128-119. So the Knicks right now, 6 games over 500, I believe, at 34-28. They are still the 4 seed. The Nets 41-20 as the 1 seed as we move closer and closer to all things playoffs. Alex, how are you?
Mike, what's up, man? How's it going? Not very happy about this game, but you know what? They were up big early. I thought they were about to blow them out the way they came out, and I thought they were just gonna steamroll them. And then the Suns on the back the back end of a back to back, and it's their last game on the road. Want to go home? Probably you can see a blowout coming. You know what I mean? You could see it but the Suns are talented, man. Chris Paul doesn't let them, the old Suns, pre-Chris Paul, pre-bubble Suns probably pack it in and let's go home. But this team is different.
I told you, man, I always love Chris Paul. And the Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook debate. I'm yes, Westbrook puts up the triple doubles, and I'm not saying he's bad, but wherever Chris Paul goes, the teams seem to win. And I think
not in the playoffs. Not in the playoffs,
but he gets them there. But yes, the closest he got was with Harden, and we know what happened in those series. They couldn't have been closer.
He got hurt. They could have beat the Warriors that year too. He got hurt.
That was tough. The point is, we'll break down Chris Paul and his versus Russell Westbrook. Point is, though, he was tremendous. Suns get the win, but hey, you can't take away from the Knicks' 9-game winning streak. Knicks are in play. They're in the mix. They're here. They're here to stay. And, it'll be interesting, though, what happens with them moving forward, Alex, because they've got a daunting task now going out west. And this is going to be a huge test for this team to see how much they've grown.
Yeah, no, we'll see how they can go. They first have the Bulls at home, and they got to take care of business there. If they beat the Bulls, you go into the West Coast trip, and you get your head held high. All right, we won 10 of 11. Let's go. And it's even bigger than that if you look back. I think they lost 2 and 1. They've been on an incredible run since that Kyrie play with Randall. They lost, I think, another game, and then they went on the streak. It's it's crazy how that sparked them. But so you win this game against the Bulls, and you go on the West Coast trip, and you just hope for a 500 record at least, and just and get out of there and get into the playoffs in the top 6. And I want a 4 or 5, but let's I'm trying to temper my expectations. That's all. But anyway.
Don't temper.
We have a special guest.
Feel excited. Feel energetic. Be pumped up about it. That West Coast trip is daunting. Rockets, you're not going to see John Wall. He's out because of the hamstring injury. Grizzlies, then you got the Lakers, Clippers on there. You got some big boy teams. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think you'll learn a lot about the Knicks. It's a big winning streak, but they took care of business at home against teams sort of in their same range, but they got to that range. But beating the Hawks at home is a good win. All the other games that were in during the streak, the Grizzly win that started it off and kind of got them cooking. But yeah, you're going to get to see at the Clippers, at the Lakers, you're going to learn a lot more about the Knicks from this. And I think it'll be an interesting experiment. I'm hoping they lose them all, but I will say, as much as I root against the Knicks, it has been healthy for this podcast, and I do like that. I do understand that it makes for a better podcast. It makes for more interesting content when we're not just talking about teams that are losing. The Nets are very good. The Knicks are very good. So I think it just makes for a more interesting podcast. So I will say that as much as it sucks, it is good to take the pill knowing that it's ultimately better, at least for the success of this podcast.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's fun overall because we're both such basketball junkies. We're watching no matter what. But it's nice to have the New York teams be relevant in the conversation of the playoffs and contenders in your situation. It's just nice to have that. It feels very, flashback to the 90s kind of thing, 2000s for you. And it's just It's nice to have that feeling of we're here and people care and it matters. We're on the big channels and stuff like that. So that's cool.
All right. So we have an interview coming up. And then on the backside of it, we're going to talk about, I want to get into a little bit here, this net Nick conversation that's kind of been sparked. I know there were people outside of the Garden after a big win against the Raptors chanting Nets bleep, 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 the bleep, 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 saying they fucking suck and all that stuff. So we'll do that. We'll get in the back end. We have a special guest, though. Connor Hughes is coming on. He covered the New York Football Jets for The Athletic, Sportsnet New York, SNY for short. He's also a diehard Knick fan, Follow him on Twitter. We'll get into all of that. But I'm excited to talk to him, Alex, because he trolls the shit out of Net fans in a fun way. So I want to
he's
talk to
great.
him about that too. He's an awesome dude. Here is our conversation with Connor Hughes. And
The
then
best
we'll talk.
Jets reporter, I gotta say that before we do it. The best one, my favorite.
Listen to Alex.
You know how I am with the media.
No, trust me. Alex says I'm the 7th best net podcast host he knows. So just put that in perspective, okay?
I rank everything.
Connor Hughes next. Then we'll get a little Nets Knicks here on Bad Weather Fans. All right, Bad Weather Fans, episode number 59. And we're joined right now by Connor Hughes. Follow him on Twitter at Connor_J_Hughes. He covers the Jets for The Athletic and SNY. And we're doing this right after this Knicks loss. The 9-game winning streak comes to an end. I got to be honest, I'm pretty fucking relieved about that. Sorry for cursing right away. It just yeah. I've had to deal with Connor, to be completely honest. Last week we did this after they beat the Hawks, which was the 8-game winning streak.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And it was annoying. It was annoying. So to be honest, as you join here on the podcast, I'm pretty relieved that it was after a Suns loss, and the Suns the night before did lose to the Nets. So Connor, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm doing well, guys. I'm doing well. I'm excited to be on and talk a little Knicks, talk a little Jets. It's a little change of pace. Usually it's just Jets. I'm excited for to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah. Tell us about your thanks for coming on. Tell us about your Knicks fandom. So I've seen you've been getting into the Knicks a lot more this year. So let's hear about it.
Yeah, it's easier to, right? I mean, they're a little bit better. Like I'm not. Right. I grew up in a football household. Like when I was a kid, that's what I grew up rooting for. Was NFL was king there. My mom was a big football fan. My dad was a big football fan. So it was football. All the time. And then basketball was something that I kind of found. I don't want to say high school. I want to say like late middle school, high school time is kind of when I started following basketball a little bit. And it was honestly more just because I didn't play it as a kid. I played baseball, football. And then when I started messing around with basketball, I realized how bad I was at it. And when I realized how bad I was at basketball, then watching what these guys are able to do at the professional level, you just earn such an appreciation for it. And the Knicks obviously weren't too good when I was in high school and middle school, but obviously I'm New York, so I still pulled for them. And then when I really got in probably heavy into him was when they signed Stoudemire. Like that was one, like when that signing came through, because I just loved him as a player in general. Like I loved him before he came to the Knicks. And then when they got him, I know, it was obviously like Braun and Bosh and all that, but like when they got Stat, I liked it. And then especially like when they started to come together that year, you kind of like felt like they were building a team and like they really had something going. And then obviously, I mean, they basically traded everything away to get Melo, and I bought into that one hook, line, and sinker as well. And obviously, they made a little run with it, but I think that was probably when I went from like casually watching the Knicks because they were kind of like they had their moments, but it was more just casually watching them as a kid, to really getting into them a lot was when they signed Stat. Like I loved him as a player, then he really brought me in, and then obviously I've been following him all the way through, and obviously more closely now because they've kind of like they've got someone to watch it. I don't know. I mean, you guys obviously you watch him, especially you, Alex. I know you watch him like 24/7. That's how I kind of get my news. I don't know if I could like watch every single night when they're winning like 10 games a year. I could do that. Like when they got so you watch them when they have like exciting players and you watch them. So like they got Barrett, you started watching that. Obviously Porzingis was the one that drew me in again. And I loved him. And then when they traded him away, I felt like a piece of my heart got ripped out. So it's like, oh no, but now to see Barrett really coming together quickly, like drawing me in with the quickly, and even you got
the
Bullock
kids,
going. It's fun, and they're a lovable team, and it's a fun team to watch.
Well, I will say you're really good on Twitter at aggravating Net fans. You do a really nice job with that. Now,
I'm good at Jet fans too, getting them pissed off.
It's amazing how it works. Now, I met Alex ironically because my car was being towed and I had to go down to the pound and get it. And I was just on Twitter bored and I'm going back and forth with this guy, and then I was like, you know what? This is ridiculous. He's probably a nice person. And I invited him on my Mike Delivers podcast. We're talking about being an Uber Eats driver, and he came on, and then we realized, we actually like each other besides disagreeing with our fan bases and everything like that. So I took a step back and I was like, this is ridiculous. So I try to do the same when I saw your tweets against the Nets, and it's just it's awesome to see the net reaction and all the likes and the comments and everything that comes with that. I mean, is there a little bit part of you where it's like kind of fun just to tweak the Net fan and see what you can get, and let's see if we can get 1,000 likes on this and go from there?
I don't know if it's so much about like the likes and like the retweets and like that's not so much. It's more honestly, I go into it for the mentions. So when I fire off like a little shot or something like that at net fans or just try to get like net fans, because it's easy. Like it's
easy.
It's no different than Jet fans. Like there's sometimes when I'll tweet something during a game where I'm like, I think that's gonna get some good interaction. And it's not so much like the retweets, but the one thing that I'll say is like people on Twitter are clever. Like they're fun. Sometimes like they push the limit. It's like, all right, this isn't like fun anymore. And like, that's when the block button comes into play.
Right.
But with like, sometimes those tweets are like when it's like, well, no, like somebody tweeted me the other day. I don't even remember who it was, but it was about like the Nets. And it was like, well, Nets are still the best or Nets are still in first. I was like, yeah, no one cares. And I knew as soon as I sent that tweet, it was like,
it's a trigger
that's
word.
going to
trigger.
Oh yeah. It's going to rile up Knick fans. Like Knick fans are going to go crazy over, but also there's going to be the Net fans that fire back was like something really interesting. So I do it. Like some people fire off those shots and like take those shots and stuff like that more to like, like you said, like they want the retweets, they want the clicks and stuff like that. I do it more for the mentions. Like I want to see what people are going to fire back at me with. Cause usually like people are really interesting and people are really clever and they're even more witty than I can be at sometimes. And that's when like, I love seeing that kind of feedback because it'll get me to laugh. But a tweet like that, or some of those tweets, just like I'll send out. Yeah, that's absolutely to rile up Net fans. Cause like, I'll be honest, like whether the Nets are good or bad, like they're not one of those teams. And maybe it's because they were in Jersey and I didn't dislike them when they were in Jersey. And even when they first went to Brooklyn, like I didn't dislike the Nets. Like, I'll be honest, I hate the Sixers. Like the Sixers are the team, and like every team from Philly. Like I hate teams from Philadelphia. Like Philadelphia and Penn State. Like those are the two teams that like that school and that team that I don't know if either of you guys are from Penn State, but I just probably pissed you off.
No.
My whole family, a line of Penn State alumni.
Oh, it's me. It's me too.
He's kidding.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. Oh, I was gonna say like half of my family went to Penn State, and like for whatever, like Penn State I don't like, and Philly, and it's really because like my fiance is born and raised in Philadelphia, so it's like it's always there. Everyone I'm around is I'm from South Jersey, so like a bunch of my friends are Eagle fans and all that stuff. So they drive me nuts, but I don't have like this hate for Net fans. Like I don't have a hate for the Nets. Like when they got Durant and Kyrie, like I was pissed because I wanted the Knicks to get them, but it wasn't like I was like, man, now I'm gonna hate the Nets. Like I don't have that as much as I would for Philadelphia. Like it's not like every night I don't wake up and say like, man, I hope the Nets lose. I wake up and I say, I hope the Sixers lose today. Like that, like that's more in my mind than the Nets.
Well, that's cool, but I get that. But do you think that there's a rivalry? Because a lot of fans are like the rivalry police, and like they don't want to do it. So you think it's budding? I think it's here. I think it's happened. Everybody hates each other. The organizations hate each other. It's not a secret. So like, what do you think about that?
The Knicks being relevant again, and the Knicks being here, and the Knicks being, I want to knock wood, good. Because I think they are. Like I don't want to say because I don't want to jinx him and have him now going like a 10-game losing streak. But I think the Knicks are here. Like I don't think the Knicks are going anywhere. Like this, it's not like I think we've passed the point now where this is like a flash in the pan. Like this isn't like they're being led by 5 or 6 players that are well over 30, and you're just kind of squeezing the last juice out of the lemon, and then they're going to be gone next year. And it's like, well, who's going to fill the gap? I mean, I think that they have like a core. And I think Randall's past the point where you have to be worried about him only being a half a season wonder. I think you're where he's going to be legit. Barrett's going to keep getting better. Quickly is going to keep getting better. Robinson, I hope, is back next year.
Like,
stay
healthy.
Yeah. So like, I think I think the Knicks are good, and they're going to be good, and they're only going to get better depending on who they draft and sign. So with them being good continually, I think now you're going to see a true rivalry. Like, I think it's always kind of been like, the Nets now are good. And then the Knicks, I think, honestly, I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I think if the Knicks were like a 10 or 11 win team this year, or 15, 18, 20 wins, like if they were going to be as bad as some people thought, I don't think that rivalry's that big. Like Knick fans will say, oh, the Nets are no one cares. But if you're not,
you care.
There has to be competition. Yeah, there has to be. I think there has to be competition, and like even if it's big brother, little brother, like there has to be some of that going. Like if you think about the Jets Giants, like the rivalry the Jets and Giants had with Rex in 2011, there really wasn't a Jets Giants rivalry until the Jets got good too, and then there was. And I think now that you have the Nets, who are I think probably one of the top 2 teams in the league. On it, like if everyone plays and everyone's healthy, I don't think there's anyone on a talent level with the Nets. But with the Knicks now being that team that wasn't necessarily supposed to be good, but now you can tell they're really deep and they play hard as hell. And if you're not going with them for every minute of a game, they can beat anybody. I mean, not a 7-game series, but they can beat you on a nightly basis.
Yeah, for sure.
I think now it's like, I think the rivalry is going to be there. I think it's there now. I think it'll be a hell of a lot more intense than it's ever been next year. Because next year you're going to go into a season now expecting the Knicks to be good. You're going to be expecting the Nets to be good, and now it's going to be really hot and heavy.
See, I'm really interested because you brought up, and you have such a great perspective with the Jets, the Jet Giant dynamic, because AFC East, NFC East, they see each other every 4 years or whatnot, and those games become a big deal, become a hype. They play in the same stadium, etc. But the reality is they have nothing to do with each other as far as the standings. They couldn't be further away. But yet there's this like kind of vitriol between the fan bases when things get bubbling. Is it weird then to see like the Knicks when they're actually in the same division, but they went 30 years or so without even caring about each other? And then you see like the Jet Giants, which are in different divisions altogether, but there was such an anger for dislike for each other. It's kind of like a strange dynamic when you look at it like that.
Yeah, I don't know, because even like when the Nets were really rolling, like with I don't know, I just maybe I'm weird, but like I didn't hate them. Like it's just they weren't the team that to me I hated. Like no, I didn't like when they were better than the Knicks. I didn't like. I honestly, I think what really set it to them, because even when they first went to Brooklyn, I don't think, maybe it's just me, but I like Alex, right? Like when the Nets first went to Brooklyn, like did you really care about the Nets? Like, did you really say?
I got annoyed. I was talking about that today on Twitter. I got annoyed because they put up that billboard, the blueprint to success, and at the press conference, I had Garnett and Pierce and everybody and Jason Terry talking trash about the Knicks. Like, what do we have to do with you? We just beat you in the first round last year, dude. Like, who are you guys, you geezers? You know, and that kind of annoyed me. But then it kind of died because the Nets fell apart with that trade, and it just. So it wasn't anything there, but ever since 2019 with the culture Nets that we always like to say, like that kind of annoyed me because it wasn't just the Nets are good. It's the Nets are good and the Knicks suck. It's like, what the hell do we have to do with anything? You know what I mean? Like, why are you trashing us? Why are you taunting us during a playoff game versus the Sixers? You put Charles Oakley on the big screen. Like, why? Like, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean?
Really bothers you.
Yeah, that really pissed me off because it's just like now Nets fans and Knicks are giving it back, like you're saying, Connor, and it's like the Nets fans can't like really handle that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like we were the ones who were talking trash. We weren't expecting it this year. You know, they thought this was their year.
Well, would you say?
Would you shine a little bit?
Would you say that? And I'll pose this, Connor. Like, if you're the little brother and you're in New Jersey, and when you poked fun at the Knicks, it didn't really agitate the Knicks because they looked at the Nets and they're like, okay, you're from New Jersey. We're the only team here. But when it was the Brooklyn Nets going after the New York Knicks, all of a sudden that poking stung a little bit more than when they were from Jersey.
Yeah, I can see that. And I think honestly, a big piece of it was after the Knicks traded KP. Like I remember that coming down. I remember texting some people because I don't cover the Knicks. I remember texting some people that do, and basically asking them to talk me off the ledge because I loved Porzingis. Like I did. I loved him. I like as soon as he, I guess, like when the unicorn, like from seeing him, like even that the summer league, like watching him, like hearing they're like, well, can he carry it through the regular season? Then he starts blocking everyone in the regular season, and I was like, man, this guy's legit. Like it was funny. Like I was working at about.com, and when they drafted him, I remember I got the alert. I was playing in a softball league, and I got an alert on my phone. I was like, who the hell is this guy? And I was like, like maybe
Kristaps. Like,
exactly. Who the hell is this dude? And it was like, well, maybe he works. I don't know, whatever. And I was like, all right, we'll have to see. And then he like turned out to be pretty legit. And then the injury happens, and you're like, oh, is he going to come back? And then when they traded him, I was like, that was supposed to be the piece. Like that was like, even if Phil Jackson bombed, like they got Porzingis. And then for him to be gone, I remember talking to people and being like, talk me off the ledge. And they basically said, they implied that like the Knicks think something's coming. They don't trade him and free up unless they know something's coming. And then I was led to by talk again. This isn't my sources. This is talking to other reporters who cover the league who have sources, and they said basically it was like the Knicks know Durant's coming. Like they have to have something from Durant's camp that implies to them that he is coming in order for them to make that trade.
And every report said that. Every report said that.
And then he got hurt. And then when Durant got hurt was when that changed everything. Because now it's suddenly like, was he ever going to be the same? So it was like the Knicks are going to get Kyrie. The Knicks are going to get the number one pick in Zion. The Knicks are going to get Durant. And then Durant gets hurt. They don't get the number one pick. And then not only do they not get Kyrie, they don't get Durant. But now Kyrie and Durant both go to Brooklyn. And it was like, what the hell? And I think that was just, and all of a sudden, like Brooke, like again, once you realize that KD was KD, like once like that, like he's still KD, and then Kyrie is like mentally in it. I think that's when it got to the point where like, well, I mean, the Nets should win a title this year, and now not only the Knicks going to win a title, but now the Knicks were supposed to suck, and it's like It's weird, but I'll tell you what, Alex, like being completely transparent, like would I have liked the Knicks to go out there and sign KD and sign Kyrie and basically buy a championship? Dude, I haven't seen a title in my life. So yes.
Yeah, no, I would love it too.
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
at the same time, if you gave me the choice of like, buy the championship, or if this Knicks group building it this way is going to win a title within like the next 10 years or something like that, or the next 5 years, maybe, I'd take the building way because I feel more attached to like these guys. And if Kevin and Kyrie came, I wouldn't feel attached. Like Quickly is like the random rookie you find and he's balling out. Or RJ, the kid who was like, is he kind of a bust? Now he's coming around. Julius, like I was talking about this with Chris Williamson, who's like the host for SNY.
Yeah.
You see how he is with his son too. Like that makes you just love Julius Randle even more. I'm like, hell yeah, like he's a
great guy. Yeah, family guy, not a partier. Yeah, like
exactly. And it's just fun to watch this group and have this group. Now, they gotta get another star. I think if they're gonna legitimately be like a contender, like they need a piece. And I think Alan Hahn was saying it on the post game show, like. You want to know what the Knicks are away from a championship? It's a player like Chris Paul. Like, and you saw like the Knicks were coming back. Chris hits 3 shots, and suddenly the Knicks lose the game by 8. Like,
Cam Johnson got hot. That was annoying.
Yeah. So it's like I liked what they're doing though. Like if they weren't like I like that they're building, and now you see the progress. Because as soon as you see the progress, it's something to hang your hat on. They're guys you can root for, guys you can pull for. You love the kids. You know they're just going to keep getting better. And now it's like just keep going, like keep it going this way. Just don't do something stupid. Don't do something like Knicksy like they've done in the past. Like just you're on the right track. And just keep going. It's fun to watch, man. It's fun to watch.
I'll give you this perspective as a Nets fan. That's I'll be 38 in a couple weeks. I grew up a Nets fan. I probably became a Nets fan when I was about 7, 8, 9 years old. I was attached to Drazen Petrovic, and that's what got me hooked. I lived in New Jersey. It was 15 minutes to the Continental Airlines Arena. It was $20. It was easy. We could go to all these games. It was fun. Alex referenced the 2019 Nets that won the
6-seed championship.
The 6-seed championship, which he pokes fun at. And that Nets team had a lot of similarities to this Knicks team, where overachieving, playing good basketball, came out of nowhere. Nobody knew where they were coming from, built organically. I can tell you, as somebody that's watched the Nets my whole life and now have these superstar players and are teetering on winning a championship, as tasteful as it was and as delicious as that season was, there's nothing like this that I've experienced where it's like, there's one goal and there's
it's our time,
and it's a different world. So I totally understand that energy and excitement, and like in a lot of ways that was fun, and I'll never and I love that season. That season holds a special place in my heart. But I will say, like, knowing that there's a chance at a championship, I've never even in my wildest dreams imagined something like this, even if it was through a lot of ways signing free agents, bringing in Kyrie and Kevin Durant.
It's not even signing free agent. I mean, I have to imagine it's through, because I don't think in my fandom of every team I've ever rooted for, I've never seen anything like what the Nets have done, where you went out and you get one. It was
Harden thing was over the top. Yeah.
And not only that, but then you have, I know he retired, but you get Aldridge in there, and then you get Blake in there. And it's like, these players are basically saying like, I'll pay $5 million to not play for that team and come play for yours. Like, it's like, it's absurd. I'm sorry. One of my best friends is a huge NBA fan, like a big NBA fan. And we were talking about it, and I was like, I'm watching the Nets. They're a fun team to watch. I mean, he goes, dude, you don't realize how talented that team is. He goes, like, they're not, like, you see superstar teams like when LeBron went to Miami, right? Like, that team was like Bosh, Wade, and LeBron, but they didn't really have a bench outside of Ray Allen. Like, there was not that much. And then Golden State was like the first team that not only had the superstars, but superstars that ran like 4 deep plus a bench, because then they had Iggy and all that stuff. The Nets are like, I mean, when they had, again, Aldridge kind of changed that, but they were like 7, 8 deep. I mean, it was like insane how deep that team was with guys that could play. And like Griffin obviously was a guy, like he's not the player he was, but he's still a really good player. And it's, and like,
they have the awareness. They're stars. They're former stars. They know what to do in the clutch. That's the thing. That's what, know. So
it's not much different like when the Knicks won the 50-something games that year, when they went out. Like, I remember everyone ripped Woody because he signed all the old guys. And I think his quote,
they got Kenyon, and they got all these guys at the end of the year. Yeah,
exactly. And they had Kid playing 2 guard, right? Yeah, and the whole, I think, didn't they have Rasheed Wallace too? So like,
the beginning of the year, yeah.
And he was actually playing pretty well, and his reasoning for it was like, vets know how to win. Like, vets know how to win titles, and that's what you need. And like, you're starting to round out that Nets team with guys that know how to win, and you've got everyone that has won in some way, shape, or form. But then also guys who are hungry, because Harden's never won before. Blake's never won before. So it's like, now you got guys that are super, super hungry to get back and win. It's a perfect combination. So like, and like the other thing too is like, when you're a fan of that team, who gives a shit if the rest of the league hates you? Like, yeah, everyone's like, oh, the Nets bought it. You're gonna give a shit when you're like wearing the world champion net shirts? No, like you're a fan of the team. Who
gave me chills,
like,
Connor.
Yeah, seriously, it's different.
My leg,
it's
like seriously, I've got chills running up and down my leg. You're talking about a Nets parade.
Yeah.
Oh my God, me and 72 other people are going to be there, and it's going to be amazing. And then you tie it all together. You can have the tweet. There's Mike Biseglia and 87 other people celebrating their championship parade, and I'll be one of the schmucks that falls for it.
It'll make me feel better. Like that's how I'll compartmentalize it. Like that's how I'll feel better about the Nets parade is being like, oh, there's only 100 people there. Meanwhile, I'm like, man, I wish it. Like again,
I wish it was
different.
us,
The Knicks have their parade, and it's just.
At least it's a pandemic season, right? It's a pandemic season, so like it doesn't count.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
No, I mean the Knicks are at that point right now where they're on the uptick. Like to go into the 2013-14 season when they won the 54 games, they were building, and then they made some mistakes. Like the lockout hit, and they re-upped Chauncey Billups with the player op. They had the team option. They re-upped him, went into the lockout, and the Mavericks. Yeah, then the amnesty. The Mavericks, for some reason, declined. They didn't want to sign Tyson Chandler after just won him a championship. And then the Knicks got excited and amnestied Billups and wasting it instead of using it on Amari. And then they could have gotten Chris Paul, who's drunk, doing drunk toast at Melo's wedding, saying, I'm coming to the Knicks. You know, it's just like, this was our guy. And that was our chance to be the super team, but we screwed that up. And now we're at that point again. Like, don't do anything stupid right now. Don't do anything stupid. The one guy that I'm getting excited about, Mike, is trying to talk me up the ledge, is De'Aaron Fox out in Sacramento, where that team is a mess and he's a star. And that's a guy, you got the assets. That's somebody I would trade picks for. That's somebody I would do it.
Yes.
That's the guy.
I wouldn't do it. Just don't do something stupid. Like that. I'm in for that. Like I'm down for that. Even somebody tweeted me the other day, like there's a way to get Paul. Like even if there's a way to get Paul, I would do it. It's like I go back and forth with like a sign and trade for Ball. I'm back and forth on like I don't hate it.
I'd rather just see quickly, to be honest. I'd rather just let it quickly grow. You know?
Exactly.
Draft another guy.
Like Yes. Yeah. I'm fine. Or if there's someone in the draft that they see like there's a guy who's going to be there within the top 3 that we really like, and it's like I get a point guard I go up for. It's just like if somebody you really like, you're like this guy's going to be a difference maker. I'm fine packaging to go up, and even if I go back and forth. I mean, even if it meant dealing Obi, like putting Obi in the package to go up, I'm not totally against that. Like I'm really not. If you're going up for the player, because I do trust this management and this coaching staff more than I trust any of them before. And I like the players that are like, because that last superstar team the Knicks were trying to build, I was never a big Melo guy. Like I was, I didn't
something about
know
him, a lot of people. Yeah.
I didn't know if you could win with him as your one. I thought like he was best when he had somebody that could keep him in check, which he had during that 51 seasons. There were so many vets that had been there before that they kept Melo in check when it was like
he was a weapon. Go stand there, make your shots. We'll do everything else. Yeah, that's he's
and
a
when Melo was exactly. And when Melo was suddenly like the guy and people were looking towards him, I think that's when it kind of fell apart because he's not like Melo always would have been best if he was paired with like Bron, because I think LeBron would be the guy that would like keep Melo in check, and then
or
you
Chris
would see
Paul,
the best
one of the banana boat guys. Yeah,
exactly. It was when it was Melo. I never thought the Knicks had a chance once Melo was their star. And again, it went the other way. But Fox would be somebody I would be down for. I just what I'm against. I'm fine if you trade the picks and like a piece, like if you trade picks and piece to get a guy. What I don't want to do is deplete the roster, because I think you have a roster that's going there with, unless it's like a star that is a team-centered star. Maybe you could talk me into it, but I like the Fox idea as long as it doesn't mean depleting the core of the players you've got right now. I don't want them to go that route where they just get rid of everyone they've got and then suddenly it's like, oh, we're trying to go the short route again. Like I don't think the quick fix works.
That's fair.
And the good news is, as a Knick fan, you have the young talent, you have all these assets where you can give yourself flexibility to make moves, make deals. Is this the right trade to make? Should we make all these picks and go in that direction? And that's what the Knicks have. And I want to bring back your point about Melo, which I think is interesting, because he always succeeded so well in the Olympics, because he was a guy that could just, it's like truly, he could just go out there and score. And
Olympic
he was around so many other players. I'm not saying that every NBA roster was going to have 10 Hall of Famers. But when you put him around these guys, you could really see when Melo wasn't the one, he should have an NBA title if he went in the route of some of the other teams that like joined together. But it just wasn't in the cards based on, the rosters that he was around is kind of fast.
We wanted his money. He wanted his money, and he re-upped instead of declining the option and being a free agent with LeBron and Wade and all them. He took his money, and it was a year later. That's why he had to force the trade to the Knicks. So I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's why. Yeah.
That's why he's with Chauncey. I remember that one. That one.
That was the worst.
Like, what did you do? And I didn't hate Chauncey. Like I liked him, but like I remember them. I remember loosely following. So I was covering the NFL at the time, so I was like half involved. I remember that it was like they just Anderson was like, didn't they just pick him up? And then when they got Tyson was kind of one where I didn't love the Tyson addition either. Like I wasn't a huge. I get why they did it, but I didn't.
It was exciting, wasn't a huge. But
yeah. Like I just saw him as I don't know. I thought there was this money you could spend. I didn't like that as your big three. Like I agreed with going and getting a big three because once LeBron created a big three in Miami, everyone had a big three. It's like exactly. So like I like the idea of a big three. I didn't necessarily like the idea of like two of your big three being a power forward and a center. Like I didn't necessarily like that.
And they knew Amari wasn't going to last. They signed him knowing that the back end of this contract is going to be a mess. You know what I mean? But they had the amnesty in their pocket, and it's just whatever. So I'm over it though. I'm over it.
Still love Stat though. I still love them. I don't know. There's something about the rec specs. I loved it. I just love.
Do you do the wine baths like he did? Like you sit in the bath with a little wine?
I haven't. No. I should give that a shot though. I'm gonna give that a shot later tonight.
It's a lot of fun.
Dump the bottles we have in the bath and tell Bree that's what I'm doing. Giving it a shot, just like Stat. He was still playing up to like last year, wasn't he? Like overseas.
He was in Israel. Yeah, he was in Israel playing.
He's still playing. Like
He's on the Nets bench now.
Player.
Yeah, he's on the Nets.
He's the Nets assistant.
He's an assistant.
Is he really? I didn't know that.
Wow. Yeah, we're that loaded. We have Amari on the bench. He's just sitting there.
And D'Antoni. They got all the Knicks. They have D'Antoni.
Oh, that'd be why he's there.
After Sunday and the draft's over, do you just sit in a wine a bath of wine? What is the protocol when all the
after the rookie free agent sign and
everything's over? Like how do you detox from all that?
That's hell, dude. I'm gonna golf. I'm gonna go play around a golf on Sunday. Because that's the draft is brutal. Like it's like the funny thing about free agency and draft is like covering those two events is hell as a reporter because free agency works than the draft because free agency you never know when something's gonna happen. So like you have the initial 3 days where like all the big guys sign. But then not so much with Joe because Joe's more of like Joe's not a big free agency guy. But when it was like Mike, you never knew when the other shoe was going to fall. And it was like you could be you could be like, all right, I'm going to go to the supermarket or I'm going to try to go to the gym. And then all of a sudden they sign somebody. And it's like with him,
he's sitting on a machine like on Twitter.
Oh, shit. Well, now I got to go. Yeah. Like I remember I was out to dinner with like my mom when they traded for Ryan Clady. And it was like, well, now I got to go back. Like I was out.
She's like, who?
And I was like, shit. Like but at least the draft, you got it in a condensed space. So you're like, it's only Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but it is long ass days. Cause like it'll be, I mean, draft starts, I think 7 or 8 on Thursday, but it's like, you start basically working around 5 and then you go till 2 in the morning. So we're going to have our podcast that we've got to do. And then Friday's the same thing. And then Saturday's crazy too. So like, it's like 3 days of no sleep and just mainlining coffee and then writing on all these guys half the time. Once you get past the 4th round, I've never heard of these dudes before. So it's like, you're digging into that. And then,
but he could be Tom Brady. That's what you keep hearing the same thing. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. But then like Sunday will be like relaxation. Like I'll probably go play around a golf. I'll come home, I'll relax, I'll have a few drinks and just kind of like let it breathe and then go right back to it on Monday. Cause usually right back to it on Monday with like, the more stuff. Cause I have to do the draft recaps and stuff, but it'll be, it's fun. It's like, honestly, it's hectic and it's crazy, but I like covering free agency. I like covering the draft cause it breaks up having nothing. You know what I mean? And also for the draft perspective, there's only so many mocks you can do or so many, I think the Jets should do this. I think the Jets should do it. Now it's like they actually did something and now you can actually start evaluating guys they have as opposed to who they might have and all that, and then start diving into features you can write and all that.
Right. Oh, real quick question on that again. Did you like the way the draft was the last way, where it was like Saturday and Sunday all day, or do you like it better dragged out over 3 days?
Good
or
question.
The reporters, or were you a reporter?
So I never. Yeah, I started covering it.
Yeah.
I don't know. My first draft was 2014. I covered. Yeah, I was covering. Like I was when I was just starting cover. I was still in college. So I covered the Giants that year for like SB Nation and Big Blue Interactive. And I covered that draft where they took Beckham. And I think that was one night. And then I think that was when they split it up, I think. The rest of them I watched as a kid, where it was like they would do the one night of the first 3 or 4 rounds and then the second one. I think as a reporter, I like breaking it up because it gives you a chance to reassess. Like you can tackle first round, first picks, tackle second and third rounds. It helps me for my job. I like it a lot more because it's like, okay, I write this. Now I'm done. Now I can sleep, regroup, go into the next day with a clear mind to write another column and write a new this or write a new that.
Is it boring knowing what the Jets are going to do to start this, or does it make it easier where you kind of know how things are going to play out?
Oh, it's easier. Oh, dude, I just pre-wrote my column. So my column is already written for the Zach Wilson pick. So I have my column pre-written. I wrote that today. Nice. I'm going to write my the analysis piece on too. So just so I can have those done so that then when 23 comes around, I can dive in and react to that in live action. But like, it's weird. What's funky about thinking about the 23rd pick is in the past when the Jets have had, every year I've covered, aside from Darren Lee, who went 20th, they've been picking top 10. So there's only a slew of guys that are in contention at 3, 6, whatever. So you can kind of always know, like, okay, they're going to go this. There's only so many guys you can start digging. You start trying to tie it in. I never realized when a team's good and you're picking like in the 20s and 23 and 24.
Not a big deal,
but you have no idea who's going to be there. Like you got to get 22 guys off the board before and then all of a sudden this guy could slide. Like there's so much uncertainty.
Trades,
it's actually tough.
Rips everything up after a trade.
It's hard, man. Like it's tough thinking about that 23rd pick, but I like that I know what's happening at 2, and then to like just get all that stuff I got to do for work out of the way, and then focus on 23 just to kind of make my Thursday night a little easier.
So it sounds like you love that Darnold draft where you didn't know who was going to go when with Barkley and Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen. Everything was all over the place. You're like, what's happening?
Wild. It's crazy. Yeah, it was weird thinking back to it because I always thought I didn't think the Giants could go running back. Like I just didn't understand that. Like I don't know how when you like everyone saw Eli was getting older. Like and you knew Eli only had, and then to go running back was like that's it.
And you signed Odell, right?
I don't know how Dave Gettleman has it. I don't know how he has that job. The Giants are so like old school and refuse to get off their ways. Like it's like once a Giant, always a Giant is like their mantra. But it's like you gotta at some point be like, I'm gonna reassess here because I don't know how you look at Dave Gettleman and be like, that's the guy who's gonna build a Super Bowl team.
Well, McAdoo wanted Mahomes. I mean, I don't have to explain what happens there. It's a whole different history. I mean, it's a whole different world and a whole different universe. And you got Eli Manning when he's 106, he was great, but it was take Mahomes. It's the whole different trajectory of the franchise, and who the hell knows where they are right now. So you're right.
That's the Jets with literally it was the reason why McCagnon did not draft Watson. Well, you had like Trubisky, Watson, and I think Mahomes was always like a big developmental project. I do give the Chiefs some credit for that. Like the Giants were a little bit later on. He was like one of those guys was like high risk, but like Watson was the dude like you watched him like that guy can play.
Sure.
That guy can play quarterback, and he won the title. And like I remember watching that championship and being like, I'm no scout. Like I'm not going to pretend like I am. I'm not an X's and O's guy, but like. I watched him in Clemson against that championship game being like, I would draft him. Like, yes, like you need a quarterback. And they didn't draft him because they had drafted Hackenberg the year before. And they were like, no, we're good. We got Hack. And like that dude never played it down. And it's like that blew. But it's again, it goes to science. Like if you don't have the right guy calling the shots and you have the right guy at GM, you're screwed. Like you really are. Right. I mean, the Jets were set back 3 years by keeping McCagnon as long as they did. It didn't matter that Gase was on the sideline. You could have had Vince Lombardi over there. That roster was horrific. I mean, Gase obviously didn't do himself any favors at all. And he was, of course, was not a good coach. But it was more like that team should have let go of McCagnon earlier, obviously before 2019. But there were so many decisions he made that just put that team back. Whether it was Hackenberg, it was not Watson, like all of these little things. It was just bad. Just bad.
All right, so Connor, so now I need you to sell me something because let me tell you something about myself because I come across as just like Knicks all the time. But the Jets in my family is like the number one thing. I'm season ticket holder from my dad had bought season tickets in 1970. We used to tease him that he was the jinx. And like he had season tickets forever. And like so from when I was in first grade through maybe about 2014, I went to every single game from I was like 6 years old till I was in my 20s. Yeah, so like every game and some on the road, everything. So the last 10 years have crushed me because ever since the Tebow year, that was like the most unenjoyable year as a fan. Ever since that year and coming through and Gase was terrible, obviously, and everyone knew that was going to be terrible. Explain to me why it's different this time. I get they have all the draft picks, but you have the defensive coach again. You have the GM and the coach not on the same track. It's all the rookie quarterback. Oh, you got to give him 3 years. You got to give him time. You don't know what he is. And it's just no offensive line. Like explain to me why it's different this time. Get me excited, please.
I think the biggest thing and it's been a reason to criticize him though, but like people got on Christopher Johnson over the Gase hire, which was warranted, got on him over not firing McCagnon, very warranted. Like the things you can rip Christopher for are very warranted. But what I think people lose in that losing all of that is that he is not a post stepper at all. Like, so one of the top reasons is you would now have an owner for the first time in a long time that is not meddling. So like you mentioned Tim Tebow, that was Woody. You meant, like, you didn't mention this, but the Darrelle Revis signing again when he was clearly past the hill, and the Jets, like, I had heard this.
And the trade originally was him too, right? The trading him in the first place, right? Sorry to cut you off. Okay.
Yes. No, you're fine. Like they're signing him when literally the Patriots had backed out. The Jets were bidding against themselves. Revis's people were telling them like, yeah, we just got this from the Patriots. There was no offer from the Patriots. The Patriots were like, we'll give you a low ball offer. That's it. And so like, and it was just the Jets bidding against themselves. That was Woody saying, I want Darrelle Revis back. The Tebow, I want him back. Like he was a big toe stepper because he was one of those guys that would get annoyed when big things were happening across town, big things were happening with the Patriots. And he would say like, we need to make a splash now. Christopher is
the Favre
not
thing also, right? The Favre thing also.
Yes, exactly. That was before my time, but yes. So with Christopher, he's not that, but that also to a point was to a fault. Like Christopher's biggest issue is he's too trustworthy. So he trusted Adam, he trusted Mike McCagnon. Those were two problems. But with him getting Joe, again, it's like I know people will rip on Joe and things like that, but I like when they hired him, I made like 24 calls on this guy, man, and I called everyone around the league. And evaluating executives is as hard as evaluating a quarterback. I mean, you don't know until you get a guy that's good, but this guy checked every box. This guy had the stamp of approval from everyone I called, to the point where I was calling people around the league and like making calls for a story I was working on him, saying like, just tell me something bad about Joe. And no one could. Like, so you have an owner that's not going to meddle at all. You have a general manager who, again, he's checks all the boxes in terms of a resume, where he's coming from Ozzie Newsome. He won a championship in Philadelphia. He's the college scout, but also knows the pro side. He's not going to allow people to outbid him. He's not going to go batshit in free agency. He's going to be smart and frugal. Like he's going to be just intelligent with everything. You have him in place. And now you have a coach who is going to excite fans. It's a player that people are going to want for, but also the biggest thing about Saleh is not so much Saleh, but the people that Saleh has hired with him. Like his staff is A+. Like bringing on LaFleur, I was talking to somebody today, like they were stressing me, like, you don't realize how much LaFleur played a role in that Shanahan offense, like how involved he was as the passing game. Like he wasn't just some guy there, like casually. He wasn't Dow Loggins. Like he was heavily involved with Shanahan. Like he was big time with that offense. So bringing him aboard, bringing on good defensive guys, also having the wherewithal to say, no, I'm going to be the head coach. Offense guy does offense, defense guy goes defense. Boyer will do special teams. I'm going to be the head coach and oversee everything. I mean, like the Jets now have the right mindset at owner, the right mindset at GM, the right mindset at coach. But the big thing in all this is now you just got to go get players, and you have to go get players. And that's well, why are they going to get it right? Well, I mean, that just comes down to you have to blindly trust Douglas. Like, that's the thing. And I know people can rip on him about, like, the promise he made for, like, Sam's family. Sam was screwed because of McCagnon's draft, not Joe's. I mean, Joe's first draft, he gets a left tackle, he gets a wide receiver, he gets a running back, and he gets another offensive lineman. Like, that's his first draft. Like, he started putting pieces around the quarterback. You're just not going to erase 5 years of incompetence with one off season. So that's reason, again, a little bit of it is blind. Like, it's going to be blind. You got to see it to believe it, but at least you have really, but at least you have the competence, which you haven't had before. Like, because before it was a little bit of a circus, a little bit of a show. Now you have competence there.
Well, that is encouraging for Alex. Connor, we appreciate your time talking a little Jets. I'm just saying, it was a positive spin in my view.
It was.
Appreciate your time. Check out the Can't Wait podcast at Connor_J_Hughes on Twitter. And Connor, next time we have you on, it'll be after another Knicks loss. That's the way I'm going to roll it. So you're a good luck charm for me. But thank you so much for coming on Bad Weather Fans. Appreciate it.
Thanks. I appreciate it, guys. I will say, man, I do think the Knicks and the Jets are headed in the right direction. I think the Jets have got this right. I'm not. I've said this before. I'm not a Jet fan. I didn't grow up a Jets fan. But watching this team, covering the team since 2014, it feels different. Like looking to people, talking to people in that building, talking to people in that organization. You have everyone, 4 or 5 people in the front office that are all now pulling in the right direction. That wasn't the case before. You had coach one way, GM other way, owner left. You have everyone gathering the rope together. Everyone's pulling the same way. I mean, it's different than before.
All right, thank you, Connor Hughes, for joining Bad Weather Fans. Appreciate all the great content. Looking forward to the draft. Hopefully you get a nice round of golf in on that Sunday. It's going to be a lot of fun watching the Jets, seeing everything they do. I am a Giants fan, but Alex, I'm just going to be living through your eyes as the Jets fan. And I think, Alex, you're going to have a Jet season that's similar to this Knicks season that you're experiencing. Jets are going to go 10-6.
Yeah, 10-7 or 10-5.
10-7.
Which one?
Shit, sorry.
These weird numbers, man. The
You're
17 games. It's so
Forgot about
strange.
that.
You used to have like these barometers of like you're 9-7, you're a fringe playoff team. 10-6, you should be in, but you might not be based on the year, like 2015 with the Jets. And then it's just like you're 3-30. You know what each record stands for just on paper. You know what I mean? You know, give or take 7. Now it's like, what the hell is 9-8? Like, what is that? Like what is 9-8?
You're
like,
have to learn
it's
it.
Strange.
I mean, now in the NFC East, you're gonna go 6-11. You win the division. That's what it takes. Got to get that 6th win. That 6th win. We'll talk more football down the line, but let's get into some of Knicks and Nets. Knicks 9-game winning streak snapped tonight by the Phoenix Suns. Nets winners again. Kevin Durant made his return back. He was simply spectacular coming off the bench for Brooklyn. And the Nets at 41-20, a game up on the 76ers. I did think it was kind of interesting, Alex, after the Knicks game versus the Toronto Raptors, where the Knicks got a nice win. Very good game, pulled away at the end, got some good play from Obi Toppin, hit a couple of threes. Knick fans outside of the arena, Madison Square Garden, which is very famous, they went outside and they started chanting.
The world's most famous.
They started chanting. What were they chanting?
I don't remember. What were they chanting? I don't
Net
remember.
effing suck.
F the Nets.
F the Nets. F the Nets. And I got to be honest, like, that was the biggest compliment I think the Knick fan has ever given the Nets.
Yeah, that's what we've been talking about on this podcast. It's a rivalry. Stop acting like it's not. Like, I don't know why there's this prideful thing with Knick fans, fellow Knick fans, why you can't admit that you hate the Nets. Why can't you admit that you think about the Nets? Why can't you admit that you don't like them, that you care if they lose? I'm not saying you're checking the score like Yankees, Red Sox, like, oh, I hope they lose. You know, at the height of the rivalry now, it's not a big deal. But you know what I mean? Like, it's not Jets, Patriots. It's not like, but you care. Like, it matters. Like, it's coming.
Was that a younger
you know what I mean?
crowd? Was that a younger crowd?
Yeah, they were all young. It's cloud chasing now. You know what I mean? Like, because remember that first when they went 500, and then Mario, the guy on Twitter, he got the video of the guys out dancing and outside. That was organic. It was just a bunch of drunk Knick fans that were excited he got 500 and we're having a good time. Now It's like all of a sudden, like, hey, get the video up. Let's everybody run out. Like, yeah, it's cool because everyone's excited, so I like it. But at the same time, it's getting kind of cheesy and played out at this point.
I didn't see a video tonight. Nothing came on. What happened?
Maybe it did. Maybe there was a riot outside of the car.
I got some push on Twitter. You remind me who said this, man. Yeah. But I was like, I need to push back. I need to be putting down the Knicks more. I think that's the truth. I've been too nice on this podcast.
You haven't been
nice to the Knicks fans
because we're nice guys. Ultimately, we like each other, and it's. I don't want to like.
No, I'm going to start being like, Nets could beat the Suns. Knicks couldn't do it. Then you could rebuttal with Nets couldn't beat the Lakers. Knicks could do it. So I mean, without that case too, I suppose.
Yeah,
but it was refreshing.
That's silly. Yeah, no,
it was refreshing to see that happen and see the Suns get the win and see the Knicks just not be able to handle the pressure against megastar guys like Chris Paul. But I
Cam Johnson,
complete compliment that the Knick fan is cursing out the Net fan. I'm trying to explain to people, if this was the Nets of 2002, I don't even think those kids would know who the Nets were.
No, I mean, I cared and I didn't like it.
I guess.
Yeah, it would have been me, right? And coming out of high school. But no, it just, I didn't like the Nets then because they were always good and winning, but there was no passion like it is now. It was just like, oh, fuck them, man. They always kicking around. You know what I mean? Like, it was like one of those, like, you used to look at like the Heat during the Big Three, just beating everybody. You're just like, fuck. You know what I mean? Now it's like, I really just hope they lose. I really hope it's embarrassing. I hope they get bounced out in the first round and like nobody plays. And then they rested all these players, had this fugazi regular season for nothing. And it just all goes down and up in flames. And, it's just crazy.
Yeah. And as pessimistic as I am, and I always kind of go in that route and I think about it, like Blake Griffin's been really good. He might be the next fourth best player.
That's what Connor was saying
these
too.
Games, he's been fucking phenomenal. He's killing it out there. I mean, he's been really good. Maybe he's their fourth best player. Maybe he's their Draymond Green, essentially, to the Golden State Warriors. And the Harden thing's scary, man. Of course it is. Like, I don't know if he's going to be back for the playoffs. Who the hell knows? But I don't
know if Durant's going to get another bruise. And
you don't know. Every time he goes down, I'm like, oh, no, he's hurt.
Just give me one season, man. Just stay healthy 1 year. Like this is, I'm telling you, man. And I think you're starting to understand. Like it has to happen this year for you, man. It has to happen.
It doesn't have to.
Has to.
But why not next year? Next year doesn't count
because you don't know what these guys are gonna do and what they're gonna think. They might want to be traded. They might get hurt again. They might. Kyrie may go
together next year
somewhere. You know,
they're gonna all be together next year.
We'll see.
Well, of course we'll see.
If they don't win, it's going to cause
with the Nets. They're not moving anywhere. They're going to be with the Nets next season.
Harden was under contract with the Rockets. What happened there?
He's not demanding a trade after this. I promise you, they're going to bring it back next year. They're going to bring it back next year.
It's not going to be as easy as it's been this year.
They're going to bring it back next year. There's more than the window's more than this season. They're going to bring the same roster back. They're going to bring the team back. Now it's a year older. They're in the window. But it's not like the window doesn't close after this season.
I'm not saying it closes. I'm saying it's going to be more difficult. It's going to be more difficult this next year and the next couple of years than it is this year. Because if they don't win, the negativity is going to come. Look what the Nets did all this season. They rested all these guys. They barely played and they couldn't even get it done. They made a mockery of the regular season. Everybody's going to start yapping and the Harden's be like, why did I come here? And then all these guys aren't going to want to come. And then Nash isn't a good coach anymore and all this shit. It's just, this is the NBA, man. They don't act like this doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Happens, but you could also make the argument, hey, they're going to all be together. They'll get a training camp together. They'll get a full year under their belt. They'll get to play with each other. They'll get to build the roster around the three guys that they have. And Sean Marks, who is really good at his job, will find ways to put pieces around these three that'll work perfectly for the roster.
Right.
I'm just saying, I don't, yes, anything could happen, of course. But I don't see it as if they don't win the championship this year. And this is not me making excuses in advance for like, hey, if it doesn't happen, I will be one of the most disappointed human beings on the face of the planet if they don't win the championship. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying I don't think it's just completely over if it doesn't happen this year. And it's like, well, might as well pack our bags. We're moving now. The Nets, we don't have a chance. No, they have a shot next year too. Yeah. But this is part of it. There's a big piece of it.
No, I didn't feel that way with the LeBron big three. Like we keep referencing that on his podcast. Might as well stick with this example where it's just like they didn't win that first year, but I didn't have that feeling like, oh, they better get it done this year. Or it just feels different because that team went out and played every game together. They were a well-oiled machine and they just ran into the Mavericks in the perfect situation. Tyson Chandler played out of his mind. Deshaun Stevenson was just locking people down and they were just like, what the hell just happened? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just, and it's just, then that made them stronger. And then that's when they were 1-2 and then lost to the Spurs, whatever, the story. But the point is like, this is just different because this is just like a bunch of mishmash, different pieces coming in at different times. They're all friends and stuff, but there's a lot of egos there. And it's just, I don't know, man. And you don't have the organizational structure. This is not a shot at the Nets. Organizational structure is different than Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra and these guys that have won before and they can have some cachet and they can be like, LeBron, shut up. Like, you know what I mean? They can't do that to Kyrie. They can't tell Kyrie to shut up because then he's going to, he's going to go to another birthday party. He's out of here. Like, hey, listen, it's somebody's birthday. Whose birthday? Oh, it's my great aunt. I got to get out of here. See you later. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's different, man. I'm not trying to be a hater because I'm not. I'm just trying to warn you a little bit.
You can warn me all you want, but you know what the beautiful part about this Nets season is? You know what the beautiful part about this Nets season is? No, there's a different point. The Nets are winning like they did 2 years ago when they went to the 6th seed and they played the Sixers in the first round. The reason they're 41-20. They have the best record in the Eastern Conference despite all the injuries. What does that say? Oh, it says that all the other guys are playing really well. Joe Harris has been great. Jeff Green has been incredible. He's been unbelievable for this team. Nick Claxton has improved. He's given them solid minutes. Tyler Johnson's playing out of his mind. He's not missing open shots. The addition of Blake Griffin has been big. He's playing good basketball. It's more than just the big three why they're winning games. It's because they're getting contributions from all over the place. Landry Shamet in the second half of the season has been awesome. He's a lockdown defender that can hit threes. He's been incredible for this team. So that's why I want to remind people, they're always like, oh, the Nets can't stay healthy. This team they can't get the roster together. They can't be healthy. Then why are they 41-20? Because everybody else
they're the number one seed in the Eastern.
That means something. You can't be the number one seed and then shit on the team at the same time. So you're telling me they're 41-20 and they haven't all played together? What the fuck is it going to look like when the three of them are together and then Jeff Green's the 8th guy on the bench, not the 5th?
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. And we talked about this a million times, man. Sean Marks really crushed it in the offseason with those little moves that you're just like, okay. You're like Bruce Brown. You're like, all right. You're like Landry Shamet. All right. Well, you didn't really want a rookie this year anyway. And, and then you're like, all right, Jeff Green. Like, all right, well, he's a good veteran. I have that. And those three guys are major contributors to this team. It's just crazy.
Major
so what can you do?
Well, just refreshing to talk a little Nets. It's been, the Knick train, man.
The Knick podcast.
You're 9 games, like all the people on Twitter, the excitement, man. It's good. It's good to just
makes you want to vomit. I understand. You want to vomit.
Makes you want to vomit. It does. Yeah. It does. It does. And I've told you before, Alex, I have the utmost respect for the Knicks. I just don't like them, and I want to see them lose. I mean, I don't know why that's so hard. Like there's all these Net fans. This garbage. Net fans on Twitter, they're like, the city's back. We've got both teams together. And I did say it is good for the podcast. So I do understand that.
It is.
And I trust me, I get that. Ultimately, if the Knicks were shit right now, this wouldn't be as fun. I get that. And it wouldn't be as engaging with the whole deal. Of course. But the Net fan that's like, I think they're trying to convince themselves like, hey, the city's back. We got both teams together. I'm like, fuck you. No, I don't want the Knicks anywhere near this.
No, the Knicks care about the city being back because we weren't supposed to be good. The Nets are supposed to just cruise to a title this year without any issues. You know what I mean?
And I don't think it takes away from the Net excitement. I'm not like, oh man, the Nets are 41-20, but the Knicks are 34-28. No, I just always want to see the Knicks be punished and be bad and never be successful and see their fan base struggle and always be
forever.
That's all I want. I don't think that's too much to ask.
No, it's not. It's not. You had your wish for, the majority of the last 20 years.
True.
But, whatever. All right. So you want to go to some of our weekly spots, the jersey thing and the poll question real quick?
I want to rip the Knicks more, man. I'm all fired up now. I've had enough of this. This 9-game winning streak's got me in a bad damn mood. But yeah, we can go to that. That's fine.
Yeah, we had a lot. We did long with Connor. We can do more on Knicks Nets any week. We don't want to bore anybody. So let's see.
We're talking NBA championship.
We're talking NBA.
And we're talking New York Knicks, who right now could be the hottest team in the NBA outside of. I don't know.
Listen, I'm just not used to using. I'm not used to losing. Excuse me. Like I haven't lost in so long that I just forgot what it feels like. So I'm kind of down, and I know it's just one loss, but I'm just kind of like, ugh, man, that sucks. And talking to Connor Hughes brought up all my Jets nightmares, and it's just like, oh man, at the 10-year, oh yeah, it's different this time, but we'll see. He did sell me a little bit, so I'm trying to be positive. I have no choice; it's in my blood. The Jets stuff, so I have to. What's the point of being a fan if you're just gonna go in the season? Oh, they suck. We're like the fan in Major League too, where he's just like, yeah, they suck. He'll blow it in the playoffs. You know what I mean? It's just like, I'm gonna be, I'm taking a wait and see approach with them, but so we'll see. Like you said, it's a good comparison though. Knicks this year surprised me. Hopefully the Jets this year surprised me too. So
I'm feeling
put a bow on that. Anyway. So since it is the 26th day of the month, I'm going to go with the number 26, and it's not Spencer Dinwiddie. He played for the Nets in 2011. He was New Jersey Nets. So he started 28 games, played 59. So he's average 60 minutes a game. So he was a legit player on the team.
This is my worst era of Nets. This is definitely like the early.
You were in Virginia.
Yeah. So this is you've been picking on me here. This is where I'm struggling.
I'm thinking New Jersey Nets, and I'm thinking that's your wheelhouse.
No, I'm just a fraud fan. 2011, number 26.
It was his last year of his career. He never played again. He was just like, I played for the Nets. I got to get out of here. That's pretty much what happened.
How long was his career?
Very short. He got traded 3 times as a rookie. So, or traded or was on 3.
I have no idea.
Maybe. Yeah, this is a nobody. But I thought you might know who he was. Stephen Graham.
Yeah, that's tough for me, man.
I thought because he started a bunch of games that you would recognize him.
I'm struggling here lately. I've been terrible.
That was a tough one, though. I just thought New Jersey Nets would be your wheelhouse. So that's
you got to go to earlier or later. That mid 2000s, I'm struggling with. That's the era of the Nets.
If you get this, this is your era Nets. But he played 11 games for the Nets in 2005. He's a nobody. He was I don't even know what number he was. Number 28. Number 28.
Johan Petro.
No, Kanyel Dickens.
I don't know who that is. I never heard of him.
See, you're such a fake fan, Mike. You say you're a Nets fan. You don't even know these guys. Come on.
Johan. I know. I suck. Whatever.
Apologize to the Dickens family right now. So just
Sorry,
apologize.
Dickens. You all are Dickens. All right, you ready? You want to do one? You want to do number 26? Is that what is that?
Whichever
today?
you want. Whichever. That's the date that we're recording this.
All right. Okay.
For the next 19 minutes. That's the date.
All right. Number 26. He played for the Knicks in 2007. And the Knicks were the last team he played for.
2007. Oh my God, there were so many players on those teams.
06, 07 Knick. He barely played with them. He played 18 games, never started. He averaged 5.3 minutes per game. I'll give you another clue.
Yeah.
He averaged of 0.6 fouls per game.
Thanks. Oh, now I know. What? Do you have a position? Anything? Nothing?
There's a compare to feature on this. No, that's never mind.
Yeah.
That's a mistake. Any other things about him? He was
it what team did he play for the most, like in his career? Was he how long was he in?
Houston was the prime.
Houston?
Yeah. Wasn't really great. He was a center.
Center. Oh my God.
It's tough.
What
2006, 2007.
Yeah, it was a tough era to keep up because there was so many guys in, and I have no idea.
You want another clue?
Yeah, sure.
He also played for Portland, Orlando. I mentioned Houston and Detroit. And Wikipedia doesn't much have else.
Oh my God, I hate when I don't know the answers. It really bothers me. Like if I sat there and thought about it for a long time, I feel like
Yeah, no, it bothers me too. I understand.
I don't know. I give up.
Kelvin Cato.
Oh, Kelvin Cato, the legend. I would have never gotten that, but now I remember him. It wasn't like Andrew Lang last week. It was.
Yeah, I'm about to stump you now. I'm not giving you anything close.
Yeah,
give me one more.
Isaiah Thomas. There was probably like 40 people on the roster those seasons. Like he just kept making trades like every 5 minutes. Yeah. Oh, you want to give another one?
Yeah, I want to redeem myself.
Okay. Oh, you want me to give you another one?
Yeah, give me another one.
Okay,
I'll give you one more too.
Well, was there a 59 in Nets? No, there was no 59. So we've been doing this every episode. We're doing a number and then we're guessing it. Now we ran out of like we're in the high 50s and nobody's in the high 50s. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay. This you should know. Probably not. Oh, maybe actually, because he was a second round pick for the Nets. This is number. You should know that, right? Already, just know it. He was a second round pick.
Number 1. No.
Oh shit! I just went back. From 2003 to 2004, he was number 8. I just picked a random number.
There we go.
Boom. There you go. That was a tough one.
Finally,
but a draft pick is easier to get.
Did he go to Tamar Slay? Where did he go? I want to say Tulane.
Marshall, close.
Marshall.
Small school, but big. You know,
yeah,
that's why I said
yeah.
close.
Tamar Slay. I remember him. Those are good.
Yeah.
That
draft pick is easy. Yeah. But that's your era. But any draft pick, I feel like, you know, if you went like who went to St. John's was number whatever, I'll be like LeVar Postel. You know what I mean? I don't even know what number he was. But like that's somebody like I can think about and get. You know what I mean? Because it's a draft pick.
Funny how the brain works. We're like, I could like Tamar Slay.
Just right there.
Boom, right there. Easy.
Yeah. Your plans for next weekend? No idea. But Tamar Slay, you remember.
Couldn't tell you anything, man. Crazy. You want one more or are you done?
Yeah, you can do one more and make it. We'll do a quick. We'll rapid fire. Let's do one more.
All right, I'll do one more for you.
Number 59 on the Jets. I'll ask you that one.
Okay, I got one. This is gettable. This is gettable. Number 11, 2005, 2009 Knick.
Crawford, easy.
There you go. You're looking it up.
No, I'm not.
You looked it up.
I did not. I was looking up number 59 to make sure I was right, which I am for the Jets. You're never gonna get it. Kyle Clifton, one of the best linebackers in team history. Yeah. That was my era of being young, first becoming a Jets fan. He was like the man. Special teams, linebacker. He was just like an all-time Jet, and nobody remembers who he is now. So anyway, okay, so weekly poll question, next poll question. So Knicks fans, besides climbing in the standings, what has been your favorite part of this improbable winning streak? Media flip-flopping, Andrew Yang looking dumb, Nets fans getting jealous, or other, and comment below.
I think that Andrew Lang. I'm like, Did he was the poll question last? Or he was the jersey?
Got to get him on, Andrew Lang. Yeah, Andy Lang.
Yeah, thrilling. Anyway,
ex-NBA player,
sorry for
yes.
interrupting. What was it
Okay,
again?
no, it's okay. Favorite part of the winning streak, Knicks fans, besides climbing in the standings? Media flip-flopping, Andrew Yang looking dumb, Nets fans getting jealous or other, and please comment below.
When I said that I'm not jealous, I was annoyed.
But what do you think the Knicks fans think?
They probably made fun of the Nets.
Media flip-flopping, 48%.
Yeah.
Nets came in second, 24.3. Andrew Yang looking dumb, 15.7. Other 12%.
Boy,
so media
Stephen A.
flip-flopping,
Stephen A.
they look-
Smith's getting annoying.
Max Kellerman too. They just look.
Well,
they
just saying now, Kyrie's gonna regret coming to the Nets. It's like,
dude, they won 9 games in a row, man. Can you shut up, dude? Like,
right?
yeah,
How is that a topic?
They're just entertainers, man. Him,
Knicks didn't win a
Max
championship.
Kellerman, Skip Bayless. We talked about this a billion times. Shannon Sharp, I respect it because he's actually played football and he's like was a star. So like he knows what he's talking about when he's talking about football. But like it's just these guys, like they just say anything just to generate attention, and they're shameless. And I don't hate the player, I hate the game, and that's it's nothing disrespectful about that. Right. So a couple of a couple of fan shout outs. By the way, I kind of feel like I take credit for the media flip flopping thing. People always go to me and be like, I'm the anti-media guy. But anyway, so we have BK Blessed One. He's at BKINRH. That's my guy. He goes all of the above. So very simple. Then we have these two. I didn't even realize the names. So we have Burner 123. He's at Burner 1926388826. Definitely Kevin Durant. He goes, media tries to act like they wanted us to succeed when they would unfairly clown Knicks fans and use Knicks for clicks. Totally BS. So that's probably like James Nolan's Burner. Then we have the next one is Burner account. He's at spoof_account. Really don't care about anything else. Just happy to see us going into the right direction.
Right.
Okay. So now we have some real ones. Will Jones. He's at Brooklyn Butta. He goes, other. This season was always about establishing our baseline, seeing where we stand and where we could be best use our resources to improve. My favorite dynamic this season is that our baseline is way higher than we thought. We've raised the floor and thus elevated our ceiling. Very deep.
I love the ceiling floor thing. I'm a big fan of that.
Somebody, Connor Hughes tweeted out the video that I put up, quickly hitting that three.
That's what got in my head.
And he goes, I don't know what his, we don't know what his ceiling is or something like that. And somebody commented was like, the ceiling is the roof, Connor. Like, the whole line. I was just like, I couldn't help but laugh. And that's like what Connor was talking about on the show. He's like, the comments are like the best part of Twitter when they're above the, they're just funny, not like, over the line. Anyway, so we have Frank Taz Knick. He's at Frank Taz Knick. How the New York Knicks have built up brick by brick by making defense the cornerstone and belief in each other and what they work on. You can see that was the focus from the beginning of the season, and the offense has grown since the All-Star break once the defensive foundation was established. There you go. And then we have our guy, Coach Fa. He goes, he's at Fa. I'm insurance. He goes, I honestly don't care about any of the other stuff.
That's a real fan.
I don't believe him. No, I'm just kidding. No,
what
Coach
do you
Fa,
like?
we
What's
always
your
go.
pick?
My pick is clearly the media flip flopping because it's just funny to see. It's just like,
and after the next 7-game losing streak, they'll flip back. It'd be weird.
Yeah, of course. No, and also like the RJ Barrett is a bust stuff. That stuff is all deleted. RJ Barrett is this, RJ Barrett is that. And now all of a sudden you try to Twitter search for them to find the receipts, just to have some fun. And you can't find them anymore. Nobody called them a bust ever in Twitter history. So of course.
Have you ever had anybody? Well, I never mind. I don't even want to ask. I'll shut up.
Maybe you should talk on your burner account at burner 1926388826. Or maybe do 27.
No, you're mixed up. I'm 192664. I need to get.
I didn't do that one on purpose. I did the other one. I saw the name of his account was burner account and at spoof account. So I was like, I have to read this comment. But the other guy just snuck in there. I didn't realize I bookmarked that one. That was funny. Anyway, so that's it. That's the podcast.
That's it. All right. That's Bad Weather Fans. That's it. See you later.
See you later.
It's been Bad Weather Fans, episode 59.
Kyle Clifton episode.
Hughes. What's that?
The Kyle Clifton episode. There we go.
Kyle Clifton episode. Absolutely. Thank you, Connor Hughes, for coming on, talking a little Knicks, talking some Jets. Go ahead and follow him. Check out his podcast. Episode 60 coming out next week. Oh, my goodness gracious. We're moving up in the world. Crazy stuff. Hey, don't forget you can find this podcast on YouTube. Just go check out Bad Weather Fans. Subscribe. You can get the video version there, and you can see the shenanigans that happens with Alex's green screen. In the green
It's real.
screen
I see my hand. It's real. I swear.
That's real. And then I've got my green screen with this fridge. We remodeled the kitchen though. I'll have to show you one time.
I always
All right.
laugh about what you said to Lee when you're like, I could tell where you are. He was like on the East River or whatever, and then he was like, "You're like, can you tell where I am from here with your window?" Like, that would really be impressive.
That would be
You could do it.
impressive. That's Bloomfield. Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's
that
right.
black window. I can see everything.
I was
yeah.
glad I made Lee laugh. He tweeted at me that he liked the gray hair is sexy. You know
He's
what's
great.
real, Lee. Let's go, Bob. All right, this has been Bad Weather Fans, episode 59. Alex, thank you. Fun as always. All right, guys, go check it out. We'll talk to y'all later.